streets of Brooklyn, where stories grow wild, to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark, drawn to the words that lit up the dark. Curtains rose and so did he, finding power in poetry. One voice, one mic, one sacred truth. Every word he spoke uncaged the youth. He saw the world try to silence the bold, but his soul was wired to break the mold. Now he walks in purpose, pure and true. He was born to speak.
Welcome to Born to Speak to You TV. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and man, I have a special guest today. This is the lady that helped write the theme song for Born to Speak to You TV. She is a singer, songwriter, a creative, visionary person, and we're going to talk about the meaning behind living in the cadence of your life. Now, cadence is a rhythmic flow. Or it could be a sequence of events, or the specific timing or pacing of events. And we're going to show you and discover how Raquel has formulated this within her life, within my life, so that you can do this within your life. So don't go away. We'll be right back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. Welcome to Born to Speak to You TV, where we're speaking life into the moments that matter. This isn't just a show. It's a movement. It's a space where stories are honored, voices are lifted, and truth has a mic. Each episode, we dive into powerful conversations on identity, on equity, growth, healing, leadership, and the courage that it takes to speak up in a world that often wants us to keep quiet. Whether it's through personal testimony, community impact, or artistic expression, Born to Speak to You is where voices rise and change begin. Our mission is simple: to empower people to use their voice, own their truth, and build bridges of communication and understanding. So, sit back or lean in, because you're about to witness what happens when passion meets purpose. This is Born to Speak to You TV. Let's speak life. Welcome back to Born to Speak to You TV. This episode is called Finding the Cadence of Your Life. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and I'm going to introduce my guest right now. She is Raquel Soto, a gifted singer, storyteller, songwriter. She's a creative visionary whose music inspires people to discover their purpose, their hope, and authenticity. As the writer and composer of the official Born to Speak to You TV theme song, which I love to death. All my guests love it. My family, everybody loves it. Raquel believes that every person has a unique rhythm, a cadence that shapes how they live, how they create, how they serve others. And through her message and her music, she encourages people to embrace their voice, overcome life's challenges, and live with intention. Welcome to Born to Speak to You TV, Raquel Soto.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And yes, I love listening to your song. I was like bopping along while while you had the intro. It's one of my favorite. I say that about all of it. It's like a mom who has a lot of children. They're all my favorites.
Well, thank you for mine, because I love that song. And everyone, as I said, that has come on as a guest, they have nothing but praise about it. They say a couple days later they can't get it out of their heads. You know, my family, and most of all, my wife and my daughter, they adore the song. And I feel that just that short talk that we had almost a year ago now, for like 30 minutes, you really captured my journey up to this point. So I think it's amazing, and I love this song. So welcome to the show. And as I like to say, we're going to jump right into the deep end because that's where the party is, in the deep end. So let's get wet. Our our first segment is called Finding Your Cadence. And I want to ask you, what does that statement mean to you?
For me, and people always talking about like going into a flow. And the truth is, we're always in a flow. It's just, is it flowing the way you want it to or not? Because that's just the way we're wired to succeed. We're wired to succeed, to go from our thoughts to our feelings, and the feelings activate actions or not actions. So we're looking at the cadence, right? What is actually happening? And for those who are like, oh, you shouldn't be a control freak. This is for all the control freaks out there. You should be excited. This is when you get excited. You're like, wait a minute, I can actually control the cadence of my life. Yes, most of what's happening in your life, it's actually under your control. Not everything, because people have free will and they can do things toward you. However, most of the things, which is 95% of your actions, are automatic. And so if you can create that cadence and decide, this is the perception, this is the reality, this is the belief system that I'm going to have it be as my self-fulfilling prophecy, then that's good news for us, because it doesn't matter what our background is, right? I'm Puerto Rican, so that means, I'm Latina, I'm a woman, I'm a single mom. So I'm in my 50s. So then, to the world, I'm disenfranchised because I have all those four things happening in my life right now. But I don't see myself as disenfranchised. Those are actually my superpowers. So I can choose to either lean into those things and celebrate those things that the world might say that it's going to make it harder for me, or I can say no, it's actually going to make it easier for me, because that's my choice to make. And that perception is what's really going to shape how I flow through life.
Now, that thought about all those things that you have to take care of, being a, a entrepreneur, a parent, so on and so forth, having your business to run, and you show up on a lot of different shows, podcasts, etc. Could those type of things cause a person to lose their rhythm in life, or could it? Is
Oh,
it meant to enhance it, or what causes a person to lose their rhythm?
oh, that is such a great question. That's why you do what you do. This is it can, because if you don't know, if you're not clear about who you are, it's always comes back to who you think you are, how you feel about yourself. So every 10 seconds, your brain is checking into the voice of your mind, which is the voice of your mindset. And what it's checking is, who do I think I am? And what's the matching emotional state? And then
Mm,
that is the message that goes into your physical heart. And when every time your heart beats, that's the commercial that you're sending out to the world. And one of the weirdest compliments I was getting recently, I was like, isn't everybody, we talk about authenticity, and I was, in a couple events, and people were saying to me, you are exactly the same that you are online, that you are in person. And then I kind of just like, how you get that 404 when you go to a website, like
yeah.
error. I was like, I don't understand. And they're like, no, you are exactly the same. And like you are in your podcast, how you are in your messaging, that you are in person. And I'm like, well, isn't everybody? And they're like, no. And that's how actually you can come out of cadence, when you are not um, in sync with who you are. Now, no one's 100%. Everybody has these moments where you have like a little imposter syndrome, or whatever lie, the flavor of lie that you're believing in the moment. But most of the time, right, if you don't know, you don't have clarity of who you are and what you're called to do in this season, not necessarily everything in your life, but in this season in your life, that's really going to have you looking for strategies and all these things that are low hanging fruit to try to figure it out. And then you will exhaust yourself. You will toil. You will end up having to pay a price later on down the line, because you don't know who you are. So it's always best to it's better to go backwards, go slower like an arrow, just pull back, so that when you're able to let go and just be yourself, you're going to be able to go much, much farther.
Also, it's important to listen uh, to the rhythms of your life, because we do change during different seasons of our
Yeah.
lives. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I've found that out for myself, and it's definitely not just the season changing outside the environment. It's what's going on inside of me.
Hmm.
And as I change and as I take on different projects and I grow, I find the rhythm changing. So the way that I deal with it, Raquel, is to just slow down and listen to what's going on with me. And then I find my rhythm and I can join in the
Yes.
rhythm and then make a beautiful symphony with it.
Yes,
So
like
how had
especially even for women, our bodies, we go into a different physical rhythm every single week. Like it changes. So I have to be mindful that certain times of the month when I am just like, let's all do it, that I don't overcommit because there will be later on another part of the month where my energy levels are just going to dip because our physiology is just different. And if we don't honor even our physical rhythms of how our body works, then we might be overcommitting and then later on having to pay the price for that.
so let's just take the last 10, 20 years of your life. How has your cadence evolved over that time span?
Well, in the last, that's 20 years or so, I had tried to take my life 4 different times. And in the
Mm,
because I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, it wasn't until the fourth time where I actually asked the question to God, like, what is going on in my body? What is going on in my head? How did I get to this point where I thought that this was going to be a good idea? And that's really what led me into, um, God's like, okay, light reading, go read quantum physics. So I studied quantum physics and then neuroscience and epigenetics and emotion regulation, and then started to see how these are things that he was actually talking about the whole time in the good book. And so my life has taken a change because I started to figure out, I was like, oh, really, there's nothing wrong with me having those negative thoughts. There's nothing wrong with me. Those doubts, there's nothing wrong with me. My brain is working beautifully and wonderfully just the way it's created. So are my cells. So they're just responding to the things and the lies that I was believing that became belief systems. And then I was creating those self-fulfilling prophecies. So once I started to understand the control that God actually gave us and that we were sovereign in that way, we get to choose those things over and over again. As we're choosing the things that are good for us and pure for us, and then things started to change. So I'm a completely different person I am now in my 50s than I was in my 40s. In my 40s, I was still coming out of that depression and trying to figure out who I was and how did I get here. And then in the process of that, and with God's grace, it's just showing me step by step how to reverse that. And so I never go back to those dark places again. And because of that, understanding how we are beautifully and wonderfully made and how there isn't anything wrong with us. It's just your brain is offering a thought. And I was choosing those offers, but I didn't have to. And I didn't realize that I didn't have to, and then being able to teach other people that as well. So I'm really passionate about helping people to go to the grave empty. So everything that they're called to do that they do, but also I do some identity work and that's why I love doing the music, because it's like a high level ghostwriting. So when people are telling me about how they love, their people and how they love doing what they're doing and the impact they want to have in the world, it's also a reminder for them. So that way, when if they get into a place of, you know, we all go like that. And as entrepreneurs, like, do I really want to keep doing this crap?
right.
You're just having a bad day, or maybe a series of bad days. You're like, I don't know if I want to keep doing that. Whether your own mission and your own words are speaking back to you to breathe life. So those things are
Okay.
so important to me because I've been in the place where nobody knew. I was the strong one. Everybody was coming to me. I was holding everything in because I didn't want to share the burden with other people. And when I started
Okay.
to rewire my own brain, everything changed.
Okay. We're going to take a little break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. This is Born to Speak to You TV, and we'll be back in 60 seconds. This is Born to Speak to You TV. I have a great conversation going on today with my special guest, Raquel Soto. We're talking about finding the cadence of your life. Now, Raquel, before we go to the next segment, I do want to ask this question of you because I think it's an important question when you talk about finding your cadence. If you had to give a recommendation to someone searching for their rhythm, what is the first step that you would recommend to them?
It would be, what is it that you can lose a lot of time in?
Mm,
That's one of the things that's going to give you a lot of joy, a lot of pleasure. And that's usually a start and an indication of how to create the rhythm, because there's secrets. The secret to finding it is actually in your play. So where are you playing, and where can you where can you lose a lot of time in?
okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. We're going to go now into the next segment, which is called The Music Behind the Message. The music behind the message. And I want to tap into your abundant resources, your brain, and ask you some things about your creativity. When did you first discover your love for songwriting?
It was in my late teens, early 20s. So in high school, the boys would come to me, and they would have an issue with their girlfriends, and like they would tell me, kind of like we did, in that conversation. And then I would write like a poem or like a letter for them, and then they would rewrite it in their handwriting, and then they would give me like $5 or $10, and I'm like, good, now I don't have to eat this slop, right? So I can go outside. So I would go. And then my first husband, he passed away in 2020. I would say first because I figured I'll be married at some point again. We were best friends at the time, and I would get these downloads, and so I would like write the things down. And the guys in the church, they were creating a band, and they were looking for a singer, so somebody who can do like the different genres. And I was talking to him, and I had a download for a song, and I wrote it down and I gave it to him. And he's later on, he told me that he can feel the electricity in the paper. So I was handling over to him, and I felt like electricity happening in the paper. And he said, "Well, why don't you come and sing it?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know how to sing," even though I sang in high school and I have like almost a 4 octave range. I was like,
Wow.
no. He's like, "Come and sing it. How do we know what it sounds like?" So then I was like, "Okay, fine." So then I did. And then I sang it, and they looked at me and they're like, "Now sing this genre and that genre and this genre." And so that's really when I found that I loved the process of creating the music and with the guys. And I can hear the music in my head. I just don't play an instrument. So I would talk to them, and they would pull it out of me. And so we created a lot of like beautiful, eclectic music together. So that's where it started. And then, we had plans, but then life happened, and the plans went dormant for about 30 years before the music came back fully. It
Wow.
would like peek in every once in a while, but it was 30 years later. God never forgets.
There you go. That is correct. So you just answered my next question. I was going to ask you which comes first for you, the lyrics or the melody? And it sounds to me like it's the melody first.
A lot of times it is the melody. Sometimes when I was working with the guys, it would be the melody first, but sometimes it's the words. I just get pieces, or I get like the chorus. It's like this. How sometimes we just start humming things. It would just be like a hum.
Hmm.
So it really just depends. A lot of times, though, in the beginning, it was the words. I would just get the download for it, and then I would hear the music. But sometimes, they had the music, and I had to hear the words. It would work backwards. So I guess it would depend on the mood.
Okay. Well, how do you know when a song is finished? How do you know
um,
when you're like, yes, that's it. I'm not going to
mhm.
touch it anymore. That's it. How do you know that?
When we're talking about like I call it an earworm, which is not like a good visual, but it's the only language I can come up with. When I'm hearing something and I was like, oh, I can hear that like 5 times in a row and I'm not sick of it, or I want to hear it again. Or there's like after I create it, I'm still like humming it the next day or in a couple hours. That's how I know that that's one of the ones I want to deliver to a client. I don't deliver anything I don't like, and so there are pieces that people never get to hear because I'm like, I don't like it, or it wasn't it didn't make me like want to hum it or want to sing it later. But that's kind of like when I know. sometimes I'm not sure, especially when I'm doing it for somebody else. For me, I know, but when I'm doing it for somebody else, I just deliver them, and I'm, just hoping that I got something good for them. But it's like a painting, right? So at some point, you're just gonna have to put the brush down and release it, and it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
normally, it's still really, really good. And like you said, right, for the songs that I create, it does cause that memorability for other people. People remember the words, or
Okay.
at least the feeling of it.
Still thinking about talking about your creative process. How do you transform emotions into
Mhm.
music?
It's really about, for me, is listening to the person I'm writing it for. If I'm writing it with a client, and I love hearing the voices. So even if I don't do it on Zoom or something like that, I can hear how much they love in the cadence of even their voice. And so being
Mm,
able to translate that through creating that story and what they're saying in words. So that's the way the process is. Like I'm drawing out the storyline, so that, because that's what people remember. They remember how you make them feel. And so if I can draw out the storyline from the client, or the storyline of what I want to write about, then that's how I create the emotions in it. Because then it works together with the sound, right? Everything has to match. So you can't have, like, if you see like a movie, right, and it's like a horror movie, but if they don't have that underlining horror sound, it's not as scary, right? Because
right.
everything works together. So the words are important, yes, but so is the rhythm that goes with it. Is it really causing that synergy that is going ultimately to deliver the message that you wanted to deliver?
All right. And as a speaker, I know that the cadence of my voice is very important when I'm trying to transfer a thought from my brain to the audience ear. So I have to make sure that the words I say flow, that each word is chosen specifically so that nothing is lost in the translation or the transference of from my mouth to their ear. So I know the cadence of my voice is very important as well.
Yes.
Raquel, we're going to take a little break here. We have a message coming up from our sponsor. And for the audience, we'll be right back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. We are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. Today we're talking about finding the cadence of your life. My guest is Raquel Soto. And Raquel, we're going to move into another segment. It's called Purpose, Passion, and Possibility. Purpose, Passion, and Possibility. What does living with purpose mean to you?
I think sometimes people get really caught up around purpose, right? Like the purpose driven life. But really, it's clarity. You have to get clarity about what are you doing in this season in your life. Because then if you're like, well, I want to know what the purpose of life is. The purpose of life is to do good. There you go. If you don't know what your purpose is, that's your purpose. Do good. And there's good to do every single day. And then the fun part is being able to discover, how can you do good today? and really just focusing on the moment, focusing on the day instead of always in the future. Those things have its place too, but we can get so lost just trying to figure this big thing out instead of just like, okay, what is the good that I can do today? Because that's really the purpose. At the end of the day, there has to be some kind of fruit of goodness.
That's right. And I usually say that I like to work purpose with passion. If
Mhm.
I'm going to do something and I'm going to do it intentionally, then I want to be passionate about it. I want to have it be something that I enjoy doing because it's going to help somebody else or it's going to help me, or maybe the act of helping will help me, or the act of doing it will grow me to another level where I can help somebody in a bigger way. So, how do you think that passion and purpose work together?
They really, for the most part, right? Not everything that you're going to do, because adulting is, there's just boring parts to it. That's just the way it is. But you have to have passion. If you don't, that's really is what's going to unlock creativity and innovation. So that's what's important. That's what the fungalitis, which is what I call COVID, was trying to teach us. So everybody got a timeout. Everybody inside the house. You're gonna find out real quick, what you're passionate about and what you're not passionate about. You didn't know about that. Well, now if you didn't learn your lesson then, now there's a booming of AI teaching us the same lesson. When we are doing the things that we're called to do and we're all in, that's what's really going to drive creativity, innovation. And that's something that no one, not even AI, can replace, because you are the one who's irreplaceable. But if you're just doing things because it pays well, but you don't have any passion, there's always a price to pay. It's going to be boredom. It could be addiction. It could be broken marriage. It can be broken relationships, mental health. So when we're not merging those two things of purpose and passion, eventually it's going to give you a harvest that you bought into, that it's always more than you thought you were going to pay for. So you might
Hmm.
as well learn the lesson as soon as you can, so that you're not having to relearn the lesson out of brokenness later.
Yeah, but sometimes setbacks will cause you to redirect, right? So, have you ever had a setback you can tell us about that redirected you towards your purpose?
When I first was pulled out of corporate in 2019, God's like, I want you to retire in 90 days. And I was just like, you've got mail, Jesus. Because I didn't retire because I hated my job. I enjoyed it. And so I was just like, okay, I was doing some coaching and the money came in and it was just like, okay, God did his part. I got to do mine. And then it was 2019, and then it was fine for a little bit. And then my business partner at the time wanted to make some changes that I was not okay with. It was against my value system, and everything blew up. And then COVID hit. So I just left my cushy job under direction. And I thought that what God was doing was bringing me into entrepreneurship so I can be my own boss. But what he was actually doing was the redirection, was giving me the answers to my prayers, which was to get my body right again, my mental health, be the kind of mother that I wanted to be with my children. It was those other things that really money could not buy. But until I was redirected, even allowing the carrot of entrepreneurship and the money coming in, and then everything blew up, and then like the whole world had to go inside because we all got to pop out. So like, be inside. And then my husband at the time, then he got sick, and then he passed away that May. So it was just like one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. And so it was like, okay, this is I pulled you out because those things were going to happen, but then I needed my whole life reset from the tip of my head to the tip of my toes. So
Sure.
that was a time in my life where everything was getting a reset, and even the last year was a whole reset in my life as well. But it was under a better direction. It was over saying
Gotcha.
yes to the whispers that God was giving me.
Got you. Got you. Raquel, one of the workshops that I do, one of my signature workshops is, does your goal setting have 2020 vision? And I chose that title specifically because of what happened during the pandemic. I was sick of my job in corporate America. Uh, Luckily, that June, it was the day after Father's Day, they called me. I was getting ready to work from home. They said, like, your job no longer exists. And I said, thank you, Jesus. I'm free. I'm free. But before that, I was working on this workshop. Does your goal setting have 2020 vision? And I realized that during the course of the pandemic, all of the visions that we had, the things we planned to do, as you just said, well, we had to have the mindset that we had to pivot. We couldn't do it the way we were planning on doing it. And in a lot of cases, not only did your mindset have to change, but I feel that for a lot of people, their faith had to change as well. So, what role does faith or mindset play in your success?
They say that mindset is everything, and it really is, because it's all
It is.
perception. You know, it goes your thoughts, and then your feelings, and then your actions. But your thoughts are getting the information from your mind, which is your belief system. So if we don't have our mind right, the lies are very subtle, and so then we're not even, confronting the things, and we're like ignoring them, or we're not paying attention to them. And there's always, again, like, it takes mental real estate. So thoughts are things because it takes mental real estate. And the more mental real estate it takes, then it creates neural pathways. And then those neural pathways become 95% of your automatic actions. So that's important. And we all have faith, right? Sometimes it's called fear because it's corrupted faith, but that's the way we're wired to succeed. We're wired to succeed, to believe in something. And since all beliefs are borrowed, you might as well borrow a good one.
That's
Since
right.
everything we believe is not original, we are receiving it from an external source, and then we decide if we're going to take it, and that becomes our self-fulfilling prophecy. So for me, my faith, my foundation is in Christ. So everything I'm doing is through the lens of love and truth and honor and wisdom and patient, trying to be patient. And when you're older, you don't ask. That's a rookie mistake. You don't ask God, teach me patience. Like, that's how I know you're a rookie. It's like, well, I don't ask Him for patience. I'm like, I thank you that I am patient and I am kind.
That is so true. That is so true. Oh man, I tell you. So for someone that's out there and they're afraid to pursue their dreams, okay, they don't even know how to get the mindset right. They're just afraid to even make a move. What advice would you give to them about being afraid of pursuing their dreams?
You'll regret it if you don't. And you're only afraid because of what you're thinking about. You think you have to have all the answers and you need to have all the resources. You don't. The only thing you're responsible for is taking the next baby step. You will receive confidence as you take baby steps. We don't look at a baby when they're starting to walk and they're not running. We're like, you're such a loser. They're not like 2 days old and like, why can't you talk yet? Like, we don't expect that from babies. You're being too hard on yourself. To receive some grace, you're only responsible for the next thing. And the next thing is probably something free. It's just going to cost you a little sweat equity. Maybe is, 20 minutes a day. Doing that 20-minute rule, or what I call the 1% rule, which is 1% or less of your days, less than 15 minutes. What can you do every day for less than 15 minutes toward that thing? And it will accumulate, right? It's like your own mutual fund. It's going to hit, it's going to accumulate. But if you don't do what you have been called to do, you are actually holding up the answer to somebody else's prayer. And you are not only holding up your blessing, you're holding up somebody else's, because you were designed for that. You were trusted with that idea. You were trusted with that business. You were trusted with that dream. God has so much faith in you, looking through this timeline, that He gave you that assignment. That's how much He trusts you with it. So all you have to do is the baby thing. What is the smallest step that you can take, and then do that consistently every single day. that will build your confidence to then be full out. You don't have to be all full out in the beginning if you're not, but you're feeding your fear by not doing something. So you can kill it by moving, even if it's really, really small. It will work.
And I'm glad that you mentioned about you will be frustrated if you don't move on your dreams. I have several members of my family that are, adults almost near retirement age, and they had dreams, and they never learned how to move on their dreams. And now they're frustrated, they're bitter, they play the blame game for
Mhm.
everybody not helping or not believing or whatever. But as you said, that dream was given to them. That dream was given to them. And for whatever reason, they didn't act on it. And now they're in that state where they probably will never see that dream come to reality. And that's sad. And that is sad. That's some place that I personally don't want to be.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a little break right here, and we'll come back with more talk with my guest, Raquel Soto. This is Born to Speak to You TV, and we'll be right back in 60 seconds. Hi, this is Calvin Gibbs with Born to Speak to You TV, and here's your Born to Rise tip for today. You're not stuck. You're just committed to certain patterns of behavior that in the past may have worked for you. But guess what? You've grown past those patterns of behavior. Now they're more harmful than they are helpful. And the reason that you can't move forward is because you keep applying an old formula to a new level in your life. That old formula, that is for where you were. But you've moved on to another level. And it's time to have a new formula, a new solution. So change the formula and get a different result. If you keep doing what you did when you were there, it's not going to work out. You've moved on to another level, change the formula, and step into your purpose. You were born to rise.
From the streets of Brooklyn, where stories grow wild, to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark.
And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. We're talking about finding the cadence of your life. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs. My guest today is Raquel Soto. And man, you've been giving us some nuggets of wisdom, practical things that people can put into play right away. Our next segment is the soundtrack of Born to Speak to You TV. I had to put this in there because, as I said, I love my theme song. Everybody I know love my theme song. And I just want the viewers to understand, how did you get involved with Born to Speak to You TV?
I actually got involved through the beautiful and talented, award-winning Barbara J. Beckley. I have to say that because she wins awards and she's so humble. She's like, "Oh yeah, I forget." So I love to toot her horn for her. But she had this amazing DFN TV that's also award-winning. And when you were coming on, she was just like, "Oh, I would love to add this as an add-on for some of my hosts." And so that was something that was on her heart that she wanted to bring to you. So that's how I ended up getting involved, was because she's really a visionary. She just doesn't want just a show. She's like, okay, how do we add all these elements so that way it can be empowered? And I love the songs because it really does shrink the know, like, and trust factor, because people are hearing you in a beautiful art form.
Yeah. And I've waited a long time to debut it when I'm on stage. Um, two weeks ago, 2 Saturdays ago, I had the chance to be an educational presenter during a Toastmasters, what they call TLI. It's a leadership institute, and I debuted my song when they introduced me, and I had about 80 people that were in there. They were jamming. I had Wait a minute, you don't know this part. I worked out a choreography to my song. So I have, my big hat on, my nice suit, and that's the way I came out on stage. And I think they ate it up. Well, I know because I got feedback. Everybody loved it, and I've been waiting since last year to actually debut it on stage in public. So I finally had the opportunity to do that. And was there anything that maybe I know that you have created a lot of songs. I wouldn't even try to guess how many. Uh, but was there anything about this song that taught you something personally?
Oh, it was one of the more different genres because I work with a lot of women. And so a lot of times they're like, empowerment songs or like, sounding more like Pink or like those kind of things. So yours was just like a little different. So that was really fun for me because I'm like, oh, I get to do a different kind of sound, and it turns out that they're also both in the Chicagoland area. So that was just like, yay, let's bring some of that Chicago sound into the music. So that was a lot of fun for me as
Yeah,
well.
I love it because it's upbeat. It has that rhythm, that tempo that I like to listen to, and I think it definitely fits what we're doing with the show. Uh, and the lyrics, the lyrics are spot on. I only spoke with you for 30 minutes or less.
Mhm.
I didn't know what to expect when I got when I got the email with the lyrics. I was blown. I was like, "Whoa!" I mean, how did she get that from 30 minutes of just talking to me? It's like my whole life story is right there on the screen. And then when I gave you the okay on the lyrics, and you said, okay, give me a few more days, I'll have the music. I was expecting, one version of the music, but then I got like three other genres. And I was like, wow, that is totally amazing. Mine was blown. Mine was blown. I'm still looking for the right opportunity to use some of those other versions, but that is just amazing to me. Uh, when you write songs like that, do you ever consider the thoughts, maybe, or the feelings of the listeners, or how the song is going to make them feel, perhaps?
Yeah, that's why I ask the questions that I do because I want it to be your words in your heart, but for them, right? Like if this was the only thing that they were ever going to receive from you, what is the message that you want them to walk away with? That's really important too, because sometimes we only have that one chance. Sometimes our encounter with somebody, our assignment is just that one encounter. And what if that one encounter is the song and that's all you're going to get? So I try, that's why I ask certain questions when I'm talking to the client, so that I can go and develop the lyrics, so that they can go love on their people. My personal coach calls it loving your clients before they come. So this is a really great way to love on them before they come and you work with them because now you're actually depositing a positive message and something that really they can take action to or they can remember to make their life and breathe life into them. I only write songs that are going to be motivational and inspirational to deposit life. And if it
Wow.
doesn't do it, then I'm not writing it.
Okay. Now, I did tell you what the motto of this show was going to be: speak life into the moments that matter. Did that help you with your writing? Or,
Yeah,
or I should say, do people you write for, do they often give you the motto for their show?
they give me the because I asked for it because I want to be able to put it as part of the lyrics. So that's important. But I ask them all kinds of questions. Those are things that are important. So I'll ask them like, what are the key phrases that they say most a lot? Because those are the natural, organic things that pop out of your mouth, and then I put them into the lyrics because it's supposed to sound like you. I had a client who's an award-winning screenwriter. When I wrote him for her and I sent him back to her, she's like, "Oh, it sounds like me," and I'm like, mm-hmm. And she's like, "No, it sounds like I wrote it," and I'm like, "Yeah. Why would I sound like me?" It's for your audience, not
Right.
mine. But she
Right.
was even floored because I write it as you, right? So I really think it's like a high level ghostwriting where I'm so connected into your heart and how you feel about your people and what you want them to remember, and then translating that into words, which we call
Okay.
lyrics.
All right. Well, we're getting towards the end of the show. We're going to take a small break right here. And when we come back, we're going to go into 30 seconds to speak life. I'll explain it all when we come back, but you want to come back for this. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting on Born to Speak to You TV. We'll be back in 30 seconds. And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. And man, we've had a great conversation with Raquel Soto, finding the cadence of your life. So, Raquel, this last segment is called 30 Seconds to Speak Life. 30 seconds to speak life. And this is how it's going to go. I'm going to give you a series of questions, rapid fire. You'll have 30 seconds or less to answer. As soon as you answer, we move to the next question. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm bracing myself. Let's go.
All right, let's go. What legacy do you hope to leave behind?
That people remember that they're important, that they matter, and to go to the grave empty.
Okay. How do you want people to remember you?
That they felt loved, seen, and heard.
Okay. What impact do you hope your music has on future generations?
That they can do it too. That whatever their dream is, if they're having a bad day, it's just a bad moment. It's not a bad life.
Okay. If you could leave one life lesson with the world, what would it be?
Get off your butt and just go do it.
Get
Take
off
the
your
baby
butt.
step
You could sell that to Nike as an update to just do it. Get off your butt and just
and
do it.
just do it. Do the next baby thing.
Okay, Raquel, who's made the greatest impact in your life?
My mom.
Okay. And what does speaking life mean to you?
It means that I left you better than when I found you.
Love that. Love that. Finish this sentence. I was born to blank.
I was gonna say I was born to dance, but that's not true. I was born to speak life into people.
Okay. What's one dream that you're still determined to accomplish?
Buy a whole bunch of tiny houses.
Oh, okay. Like that. If this were to be your final interview, what message would you leave with our audience?
There's nothing wrong with you. Those negative thoughts that you have is just your brain offering you something, but you don't have to accept the offer. You're beautifully and wonderfully made. Just give yourself a little grace.
All right. I loved it. I love it. I loved it all. Thank you so much. You did very well with the 30 seconds. to speak life. Great job, Raquel. And Raquel, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on Born to Speak to You TV. I mean, your wisdom, your music, your heartfelt message about discovering the cadence of our lives has been both uplifting and inspiring. So thank you for reminding us that every person has a unique voice, a unique rhythm, a unique purpose, and a voice that's worth sharing with the world. And if you would like to connect with Raquel, follow her on Instagram. It's on the screen at your GPS for success, where she continues to encourage and inspire others through her messages of purpose, personal growth, and creative living. So, Raquel, thank you so much for being on the show. I hope that you can come back in the future. I know you have different projects going on. So, we're going to find a way to make them work with the motto of speak life into the moments that matter. Please stay in touch.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for sharing me with your audience.
Absolutely. And we'll be right back after this brief message. This is Born to Speak to You TV. And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. And once again, I want to thank our incredible guest, Raquel Soto, for sharing her gifts, her heart, her inspiring perspective with you, the audience. And I truly appreciate her being a part of the Born to Speak to You TV family. Today, we explored what it truly means to find the cadence of your life. Raquel shared how music can become more than just entertainment. It's a source of healing. It's a source of purpose and hope and transformation. We talked about embracing authenticity, overcoming life's interruptions, discovering your unique rhythm, because we all have our own rhythm, and allowing your purpose to guide you every step of your journey. Now, one of the biggest takeaways from today's conversation is that life isn't about keeping someone else's beat. It's about discovering your own beat. And when you find your cadence, then you begin to live your life with more confidence, clarity, and intention. And if today's conversation resonated with you, if it encouraged you, if it challenged you or inspired you in any way, then don't keep it to yourself. Please like this episode, leave us a comment and share it with someone who may need to hear this message today. Subscribe to Born to Speak to You TV via the QR code that's going to be on the screen in just a second, so you can never miss an opportunity to hear stories that educate, encourage, and empower. Our mission here at Born to Speak to You TV is simple. It's to help you recognize opportunities in everyday life to replace negativity with hope, darkness with light, and unproductive moments with purposeful action. Every episode is designed to encourage you to choose words, thoughts, and actions that uplift both yourself and those around you. I also want to send a thank you to DFN Broadcast Studios for the opportunity to have this platform to bring you this type of programming. And until next time, continue to discover your purpose, continue to embrace your cadence, and always remember to speak life into the moments that matter. I'm Calvin Gibbs, and we'll see you in the next episode of Born to Speak to You TV.
Of Brooklyn, where stories grow wild, to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark, drawn to the words that lit up the dark. Curtains rose and so did he, finding power in poetry. One voice, one mic, one sacred truth. Every word he spoke uncaged the youth. He saw the world try to silence the bold, but his soul was wired to break the mold. Now he walks in purpose, pure and true. He was born to speak to you. He's got that rhythm in his truth, that fire in his flow. Speaking life into the moment, watch it grow. Every phrase